Well, hey, you know what? What is up, fellow nerds? And welcome to Not Your Status Quo. We are live on Twitch and YouTube, and we're here to talk about Andor Season 2, Episode 7, 8, and 9. And man, they were crazy. This show is so good. It is so freaking good. Dave, would you not agree?
Oh, this show is top notch. It's what you've been waiting for, and if you're a Star Wars fan, it's probably the best Star Wars show there has ever
It
been.
it really is. It really is. But you know what? We'll talk about it in just a minute. First, Dave. Well, minus Keith for now. Sir, how are you doing?
I am fan freaking tastic, and yes, we are without Keith tonight, and that shows as we stumble out of the gate with a few things. But I really appreciate what you're doing, Doug, because I don't know how to set us up as on live. So very
I'm winging it,
kudos to
man.
you. Hey, it's turning out. It's all right now. No big deal.
Keith, come back. We don't know what we're doing. But obviously, everybody knows that, there's a distant world that Earth recently discovered. And as per usual, we had to send a delegation, that is Keith, to go and perform a massacre.
Well, that's quite an orbit it's got. It only comes around our star every 40,000 years.
Look, they
So,
have stuff in their ground, and we want it more than them. So,
so he had to, yeah, you got to get it while the getting's good, and you got to get
right,
it. You don't want to miss that 30 year, that 40,000 year window.
40,000 year window.
And Lily
Oh,
Mac
man.
says, "Hi guys, we already got somebody in the chat."
Oh, nice. All right. Hey, well, Mac. Hi, guys. Just rewatched 8 and 9. Oh, my gosh. Right. Woo. Woo is, I mean, yeah, that's kind of putting it a bit mildly, right? These are crazy. So, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and get into it? Dave, are you ready to talk some Andor?
Oh, I am more than ready to talk some Andor, and I'm glad we have a third person to converse with too.
All right. So let's go ahead. Sorry, the transitions aren't quite as fancy. One of these days I'll figure out OBS possibly. But
Yeah, what do you
we're going to start talking about Andor episode 7, Messenger. So we're finally there, Dave. We are on Yavin 4. Is that right? Did I get the number right?
All
We're
I,
on
you
Yavin.
know, all I can remember is Yavin,
Right.
so that's good enough.
We're where the rebel base is going to be, come A New Hope, obviously. So this is where they're getting everything set up. We're seeing, a lot more gear there. We're seeing some ships. We kind of focus in a little bit on Cassian and Bix, who I'm going to be totally honest with you. I am really truly surprised that Bix is still around. I thought for sure she was going to kick it, and I guess it would be anticlimactic for them to have done it off screen. So I'm kind of glad that she's still there. But yeah, we see Cassian and we see Bix there, and they're just kind of living the good life on the rebel base. Andor is hurting. He keeps flexing his shoulders and everything. He has a blaster burn that he's still hasn't fully recovered from. And I think he's starting to think, you know what? I've done enough. I've really, I've done my part for the rebellion. I'm ready to kind of take a step back, let them do it. I'm going to live my life. Me, Bix, we're going to retire, and we're going to chill out. We're not doing any more of this, running and spying and stuff like that. Uh, now we've seen Rogue One. We know that's not what happens.
Yeah, not for him.
No,
Anyway,
not
we
quite.
don't know what happens for her. Oh, about time Star Wars showed torture and killing really looks like, as opposed to Vader interrogation of Leia, who was making jokes when Luke found her. That's true.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, it makes you wonder, actually, whether Vader even actually tortured her because, we see this kind of worry in her eyes in A New Hope. Like, we see the little droid floating and it's got a syringe, and we're led to believe that some sort of torture is going to take place. So either she's been through it a lot enough that it doesn't bother her, or it wasn't nearly as bad as what Bix went through in season 1 of Andor.
Yeah, and
Which,
like we saw Han Solo getting tortured in Empire
oh,
Strikes
that's
Back
right.
too,
Forgot
but
about that. Yeah.
it's still nothing like what Bix is going through.
No, no. I mean, she blew up an entire building over that. Wasn't sleeping for a year.
I think that let her rest after that. She walked away smiling.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was smiling. I'm watching that episode and I was smiling. Cool guys don't look at explosions.
Like this is gonna last forever for you.
It will. It will. It's great.
But for me, I'm out. Nice job.
Oh man. So yeah, we're here on Yavin, and Andor is thinking about what his next steps are. What is he going to do? Maybe he can hopefully send a message to Luthen like, "Hey, I'm out." In fact, he's probably even wondering, "Can I even trust Luthen?" You know, I think a lot of people are starting to feel that. We'll talk a little bit more about how Mon Mothma feels about him as well. But uh, yeah, so chilling out on Yevon. Andor's trying to figure out what he wants to do, and Bix clearly is still, all in on the rebellion. She got a little taste of blowing up one rebel torture. She wants to do some more, do whatever she can. And in the meantime, she's also trying to get Cassian back up and at it. And so, she suggests to him, hey, why don't you go talk to this force healer, supposed force healer? She'll use her magic force powers. And I love that, it's not just Han. Han isn't the only outlier who, episode 4 is like, the force? Oh, what are you, playing on some hokey religion, kid? It's not real. Who believes you can actually move things around with your mind or whatever? So I'm glad that it's more widespread than, just Han, because if it was not other people, I'm in all honesty, right? Like Han would just be an idiot.
Yeah, it's like after Order 66, which Anakin was really mad about.
Mhm.
Um, After that, it became I don't know how many years passed, about 20 years between the Sith and A New Hope, and that's where we're at. So
Yeah.
um, that's the universe like thinking that's like an ancient myth. Did it even
Mhm.
really exist? Because a lot of them never saw a Jedi; they just heard stories.
That's true.
So
Actually, we kind of saw a smidge of that, and I hate to be all sacrilegious. You're going to, cringe. But in the one episode where uh, Ahsoka ends up meeting the two twin sisters, whatever their names were.
Martez,
Yeah, the Martez sisters. Even there, they live on Coruscant. They live, well, in the lower part of Coruscant, but they're on Coruscant where the Jedi Temple is, and even they're like, the Jedi are real. What?
right?
So, I mean, I
Depends on
guess,
how far down you are on the scale, I guess.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it is nice to see yet another person in the galaxy being a little bit skeptical, and he's like, "I'm not going. No, I'm not going. Not some lady waving her hands, doing some woo woo religious nonsense. It's not going to work." And now, I think it did help him a little bit because you don't really see him showing as much pain going forward. But what do you think, Dave?
No, I think you're right. It definitely helped him, and he just didn't want to admit it.
Hmm.
He wants to deny anything that he can't see, which is fine. That's what most people
Yeah,
in the galaxy are doing.
I
And
suppose that's fine. Yeah, sure.
what I liked about this episode is like, and the way they're releasing it. I have a little problem with the way they release it because it's a lot of material to cover in a week. But
Yeah.
other than that, that's the only problem I have. I mean, I'm sure I'm still going to rate it like way up there. And um, this was like Act One of a three-act play, and
Oh yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, and they do that with each three episodes. That's what makes it so good. They're very thorough. They cover all the plot strings that they leave out there. They cover them. They go back to them. They make sure that they're tied up. So it makes the show
And
so good.
And I said this in not our last stream for Andor, but the one before that. It, to me, in my opinion, the way that they're laid out, what you just described, in my opinion, I think it actually now makes more sense why they would drop 3 episodes at a time. Because if you think just watching episode 7, I'm not saying it's bad, Messenger, it's a good enough episode, but personally, I don't know that it stands as well on its own. If I were to just watch that episode by itself and then wait an entire week for the next episode, I would probably, I don't know, I don't think I would rate it as favorably.
You like them in the package deals then?
Yeah, well, for this anyway, because the way that they're telling the story is it sort of feels like it just kind of cuts off at episode 7, and you really need to see episode 8 to see what's going to happen next, right? Because now the next thing that happens in episode 7 is we get Wilmon. He shows back up, and he says that he's got a secret mission from Luthen that Andor has to go and assassinate Dedra Miro. She's on Ghorman now, which for a long time her and Syril were separated. Syril was doing, the spy work, and Dedra was handling things from Coruscant. And so now we find out that she's on Ghorman as well to kind of oversee what's been going on, the building of this stuff, troops landing. And so supposedly Luthen has issued an order for Cassian to go back to Ghorman again, but this time to assassinate Dedra. Now, Wilmon is saying this, and he follows it up by also, reminding Cassian that Dedra was the person who, was responsible for killing his father and, taking over Ferrix and everything like that. So it makes me wonder. Now, he says that it's in order to protect X's identity, but I don't know that she even knows who Luthen is yet. I don't know if she ever actually found that out, unless, again, this was like an off-screen thing. And I personally think that this was actually a personal thing for Wilmon. I don't know that this was actually Luthen's order.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, and that didn't matter to Cassian. He talked him into it.
No. Oh yeah. Well, honestly, he probably wanted to as well, because as far as he's concerned, she caused a lot of damage on Ferrix, and for all we know, the Empire is ruling over it now.
And the way he kept his focus after everything started going down, he just stayed on task, even though everything that was happening wasn't what he was expecting. And I don't know if I'm on the right episode anymore.
No, you've actually moved on to the next one.
Okay, don't want to do that.
But yeah, so I mean, not too much going on with episode 7. It's pretty much just character development. We're getting a bit of a catch up on, where everybody is, right? And that's fine. Again, perfectly decent episode. It gets us back into the mode, like all the other episodes, like all the other start of the 3-part episodes, we get our Ferrix gong ringing and everything like that. But yeah, this was pretty much just hey, where is everybody at? What's everybody doing? And
now, who was compromised on her shuttle? Was that in this episode, or was that in the second episode?
Say that one more time.
Who was compromised in Bail Organa's shuttle?
Oh,
remember
that was the last episode.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh my god! It's just like I watched it like a 3-hour movie. So that's
well, yeah, exactly. Let's see here. We got another thing in the chat here. Actually, there is science supporting energy frequencies around people. Healing touch and Reiki are increasingly accepted by the medical community, and these healers are in many hospitals. You know what? You are correct. I have actually heard of something like that. In fact, all right, I'm going to go into tangent time for just a brief moment. Dave, do you remember the Karate Kid?
Of course.
Okay, so very famous scene. Danielson not doing too hot. He got hurt, and he still wants to fight. Mr. Miyagi is telling him, you know what? You may as well just like throw in the towel. You're done. Daniel says, no, please, you got to do something. You got to fix me up. So Mr. Miyagi does essentially what Lily just described in the chat. He performs, a bit of a healing touch. He's able to get him up on his feet long enough to go in and win the fight. So yeah, I have heard of things like that. So I guess it could be debatable on whether it was just, energy or aura, or whether she was actually using the Force to cure Cassian.
Rey Skywalker. That's all you need to say.
Okay, that was totally different heal. That was after we found out you could heal with the Force by using your own life spirit, a la Grogu.
And they only waited what 30 years to use it after this, if that's what happened.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess that's like with any new ability that's found in the Force. I remember reading quite a few years ago, I cannot believe how many people apparently actually did not like Empire Strikes Back when it first came out.
Yeah, it was
It was
very lowly
controversial.
rated, but I loved
And
it.
do you know one of the biggest complaints?
Was that the Empire One?
No, it was that Luke could move his lightsaber with the Force. Because as far as the fans were concerned, that's not how the Force works. You can't just do that.
Oh my gosh, I was 9. All right.
Right? Isn't that crazy? So all the way back then, you've got people arguing that you can't do that with the Force. Okay, so he's got telepath powers now. Okay, nice, Luke.
Tell me what the Force can do.
Obviously, the Force is for you to be a ghost and to shoot a rocket into the Death Star. That's how the Force works. Everybody knows this.
And
Everybody
then when
knows.
when Obi-Wan disappeared, that was some Force. That wasn't right Force stuff either.
Right, right. Yeah. Oh my! Imagine people complaining in Episode 4. They've never seen the Force. That's not how it works.
It's like, yeah, this is the first movie. We're establishing what it does. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I guess tale as old as time, but yeah, every time some new Force ability pops up, there's always going to be people complain. You can't do that with the Force.
It's nice to have a a boundary on which what the Force can do, but it's also nice to come up with new things that it can do, even if it's a retro show.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What was that? Well, I don't want to say it to mention that other show that they had last year that was terrible, but I think there was a new Force talent released in that show. But
Uh,
I may
yeah,
have overspoke. You remember it, but I don't remember what it was, so I feel like an
right,
idiot.
yeah. All right, chat, help us out. We're old and forgetful.
Ah, yes, we're taught that with focus, we channel energy through us to the patient. Everybody's an
Everybody's
expert on the
expert on
force.
the Force.
It's true. I mean, if you read the book, if you read a book, you know it.
Sure. All right. So, how about back to Andor?
Let's do it. Let's go back to Andor.
All right. So, I think we've pretty much, said what needs to be said about episode 7. So, moving on to episode 8. Who are you? I I loved and hated this episode. I think this one had the most of like everything going on out of these 3 episodes. This one felt like just I don't even know what to say, but it just everything was happening. It was nuts. So finally, Andor, he does decide that he's going to go back to Ghorman. He's going to do what Will wants, because honestly, who cares whether Luthen ordered it or not? At the end of the day, Cassian and Wilmon, they're friends, just like, Bix and Brasso, all of them, they're all friends, except for B2. Apparently, we're going to leave him, poor little puppy dog robot. But no, I think in the back of his mind, he probably wanted off Dedra as well. She's kind of the big bad at the moment. So he's going to go and he's going to get on the ship and take off. And I love how as the Alliance it's in this period. This is BBY2. So this is the year where the Alliance is officially going to form, where all the different rebel groups are going to come together as the Alliance. So you can see little structures beginning to form. There's ranks that are beginning to happen. And, Andor is still thinking the way that he used to, where he just kind of goes off and does things for the betterment of the rebellion. He's not thinking in terms of, okay, you've got to actually, tell people where you're going, when you're going to come back. You got to check out the ship. Has this been authorized? There's now more people that he's got to worry about, and he's not. He kind of just gets in the ship, says, "Oh, it's for personal stuff," and then takes off. And this guy is like, you can't do that, man.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, like the day you start telling me what I can and can't do is the day I'm out of here.
Yes, there you go. And
And
he's,
he's like, that day is soon.
that's all he needs too, because he's already been thinking, well, I'm gonna get out of this anyway. So
Yeah. He's very well. I remember as being in Rogue One. I remember him being like a little passive about doing things as well until it got going. At first, it was a little.
at first, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this isn't too far from that point. So, obviously, by the time he gets to Rogue One, he has been
Seasoned.
promoted. Was he a general? No, he was still a captain in Rogue One, right?
I don't recall, and I don't want to watch it until this show is over. But
Yeah,
I'm gonna
good
watch.
idea.
I was gonna watch it like last night, and just to try and piece what's gonna come in the next 3 episodes. But I resisted, so I'm gonna wait until the
Mhm.
series is over and watch it again.
Right. So, yeah, so he's getting ready to take off. He's going to go to Ghorman. He's going to, take out Dedra, not knowing. Apparently, nobody seems to be aware of how far along the Empire is in their plans. This is one area where Luthen, not having all of his bugs in place, clearly doesn't have the up-to-date information that he needs. He doesn't. I'm assuming a lot of these bugs have been removed or deactivated, or something has happened where a lot of the info that he normally used to have and be able to pass on to the different folks, including Saw and everybody else, that's not coming in. There seems to be a lack of communication because nobody seems to be aware that the Empire is planning on drilling into Gorman, eliminating all the people, and purposely starting this, fight as an excuse to eliminate the citizens. And I think Andor, we said that in the previous couple of episodes, we said that he was kind of aware that the rebel cell there, the Gorman front, they really weren't ready for what they were trying to do, and he sensed that if they were trying to get information from their supposed friend from the Empire or whatever, he's like, he's feeding you bad info. That's what they do. And so back then he didn't want to help them out, and now he's thinking, all right, well, I'm going to go in, I'll take out Dedra, but even he doesn't realize how bad it's gotten there.
Especially building an armory over that overshadows the exact the center. I forgot what it's called, the Delta or something.
Yeah, and it's like
Grand Moff
it's
Tarkin
in a
did the
shadow
same thing
on,
that they're about to do.
right, and everybody knows. Everyone knows what it is. They all know it's like a base. It's an armory and everything. Like
And they
it's
fell for it anyway. They fell for
the
it
Empire
anyway.
isn't even really trying to hide it.
Right. What was up with if you know your history, why would you repeat it? I mean, they were obviously sucking these people in for a reason, and as soon as they get them in there, close the doors.
Yep.
And it's
That's
like,
what they wanted to do. So
yeah,
Cassian lands, and they're already there, putting out blockades. They've got a bunch of stormtroopers that are landing, and then, oh my gosh, the Chekhov's gun. I love that the Empire also brings in like brand new, never been in battle, as they describe, green soldiers, Imperial soldiers. And they're like adjusting their helmets that don't fit. They don't really know how to march, how to stand in formation, and that's on purpose.
yeah,
You know that the Empire is going to use them as a sacrifice. They're pawns in their larger mission.
yeah. If they don't make it, who cares? That's what they're
Mhm.
thinking. And
Now,
I was surprised that anyone got shot at all because they sent a bunch of stormtroopers.
well, that dude who was up on the roof, he had a good shot, man.
Yeah, that was Bill Burr, right?
Oh, how horrible would that be if it was? Oh man. I'm glad they didn't, but
Yeah.
it would have tracked,
But it's really cool. They did the same thing on the Clone Wars where they showed the Siege of Mandalore, and those were
Mhm.
the best shows of that series.
Oh yeah.
Same here. They're showing the Siege of Gorman and
Oh
how
yeah.
much
Yes.
propaganda spread throughout the galaxy saying the Gorman were bad people when they
Mhm.
weren't. And there's no way for people on other planets to check that out.
No,
You know what I mean?
they're listening to Empire News, so they're not hearing like the actual truth. It's like being fed, one person's viewpoint. They're fed that propaganda, just like unless they've been to Ghorman or they know a Ghorman, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I guess they are just gross spider people.
Yeah, it's manufacturing consent. That's the name of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they manufactured consent, made them look like the bad ones so that they could get the mineral that they need to finish building the Death Star.
Yep. The Imperial Star, Dave. Okay,
Oh,
is
the
a
Imperial
space
Star.
station,
Sorry.
not a weapon.
The Happy Moon.
The Happy. But I'm noticing that in this episode, Syril is. It seemed like at some point they figured out the Ghorman front figured out that he was feeding them bad info or that he was truly working for the Empire. I don't know, what happened in the time frame between the previous couple episodes and these ones, but yeah, you can see that he's not quite feeling it anymore. He seems very upset with what was going on. He seems to have more of an idea of what Dedra was actually planning, and he understands that he was being used. But at the same time, it almost seems like he actually feels bad for the Ghormans too.
Yeah, I think I can say it. I mean, if you're watching us, I hope you've watched it. The guy had a heart.
Spoilers.
I thought, yeah, any way that he could go, I thought at the end there he got a heart. He got his heart, and he didn't know that Cassian, was working with, for what he had. How do I put this? He had kind of switched over himself. He was in the middle, not knowing what to do when he ran into Cassian, and Cassian, Cassian knew what was going on. But he says the line, "Who are you? Who the hell are you?"
Yeah, Andor looks and says, "Who are you?" Because this dude out of nowhere is just like wailing on him. Andor is trying to get the hell out of there, and he's trying to fight off this dude. Like, why are you hitting? Because of course Cassian doesn't know who he is. I think they interacted once on Ferrix, and Syril was facing forward. Andor was behind him. Held his weapon up against his head, took his weapon, and tied him up and left him up there. So of course Andor's not going to remember who he was. He wasn't obsessed with what happened on Ferrix the way that Syril was. For Syril, it was like, what is that line from Street Fighter, where the bad guy, he says, "For you, it was the most amazing day of your life when I came to town, but for me, it was Tuesday."
Yeah.
And
that's what it was. For Andor, that was Tuesday.
That's exactly what it was for Andor. It was just like, whatever. I get into this stuff all the time, an imp is an imp, right? And for Syril, though, this was the thing that lost him his job. This was the thing that made him be forced to move in with his mother. The thing that ruined his career, left a blemish on his record and everything. And so Lily says he knew his face. Do you mean Andor knew Syril's face, or other way around?
No, the previous she said Syril studied Cassian's face for a long time.
Oh yes, he did. He definitely did. Yeah, he was so obsessed with him. In fact, when he was talking at the couple of episodes towards the end of season 1, he was talking with his buddy that he had served with on the Primor, what do you call it, the security force. And he said, is Cassian Andor there? And yes, he is going to be there for the funeral of his mother. So yeah, Syril knew exactly who he was. Now, the other thing we end up seeing, and this struck me as kind of what you were talking about earlier, Dave, when you said that it seemed like maybe Cassian, or not Cassian, Syril was maybe getting a bit of a heart. Maybe he was kind of in the middle and not quite sure how he felt about this going on. But we see him, questioning Dedra, like, what is going on? Why are the stormtroopers here? Why are they barricading? And at one point, he starts to get a little violent with her. And I ended up telling you guys in the chat that night, I'm typing in there. I'm like, holy shit, Syril grew some balls. He's finally standing up. in the previous episode, it's all, episodes. It's all Dedra. She's, master mommy. She's going to tell him what to do and say, yes, good boy, Syril. But
Yeah.
in this episode, he's sick of it. He's had enough. He's got his hands around her throat, and he's trying to find out. Have you just been using me? Was this a plan all along? How long have you known? In other words, can I even stand to be around you? Like, are you really that far gone? And I think during this entire thing, even Dedra is kind of amazed at how far this has gone. I think even she is a little disgusted with what is going on because she seems nervous. She seems anxious, and she seems like very troubled about what's happening, but she can't do anything about it. It's the machine's in motion.
And if it's from Cyril's point of view, like you were saying, I mean, what if it's just not that he's getting a heart? I just thought about this. What he just doesn't like being lied to.
Yeah, that could be it too. Yeah.
Wants to be in the circle. He took him out of the circle, made him look like an idiot. He doesn't like that. It's not that, because that fight with Andor afterwards, after this meeting, was like, all right, he's still on the Empire side, but he just doesn't like to be lied to.
Right, yeah.
And it doesn't really matter how he feels about anything anymore.
It really is kind of hard to say, like, where he's at, like, where his mind is at, because I kept going back and forth on that. Because at one point you see him, he goes and the one brunette girl who was part of the Ghorman front, it seemed like he was going to try and warn her about what was going on, or at least give her a heads up or something, and then she smacks him across the face, knocks him into next Tuesday. Knocks him on his ass. But
she ended up not making it too. I didn't expect that.
Oh, yeah. So Lily says, Syril has no idea what the Empire is and has a heart despite his mother, in my opinion. Yeah, I could see that. Like I said, I keep going back and forth. I'm not entirely sure if it is a pride thing, like what you said, Dave, where, he just doesn't like being lied to. He feels like he was being used and he truly wanted to help the Empire. Or has he finally realized that the Empire is going too far and he's not being like he very much values law and order. We discussed that in our previous episodes. That comes from his days as a Primor security officer. He was all about upholding the law. He felt that the law had been broken. I have to go after Andor for a murder.
He was the only one going after him. Everyone else had to drop it.
And so Dedra and the Empire, they're telling him, you have to go and be a spy. You've got to stop these terrorists. You've got to stop these terrorists on Ghorman from breaking the law, right? And so as far as he was concerned, that's probably what he thought he was doing. Now, when he figured out that wasn't actually what was happening, I don't know. But all we do know is at some point in between the previous episodes and this week's episodes, clearly there's a falling out with him and the Ghorman front because they know what he's all about, And so when he goes to try and warn them, like, she knocks him on his ass. Like, you get away. And then even I think it was either her father or the blonde girl's father. I don't know which one it was. He ends up, taking some issue with Syril, as well, as we'll discuss in a minute. But then we get to, where everything is going down. Andor is attempting to take out Dedra. He's given the same room that he had before. He has to carry his own bag, and we see that he's got one of those, sniper rifles that's in pieces. He's got to assemble it, put it together, and he almost gets a view on her a couple of times. But I do like how he's gotten a little bit better at his job. As he's aiming, he's listening, and he can hear stormtroopers talking. And that's when he looks up out of his window and he realizes there's some stormtroopers perched right above him. So, okay, this isn't going to work. I'm going to have to figure out something else. So he figures out a way to conceal his weapon, with him, goes out the next day, and now he's trying to figure out, okay, how do I get into cover? Can I use, the stormtroopers and everything as a distraction? And then he almost gets her in his sights a couple of times, but then was never actually able to get her, especially when, the one sniper that was perched up on the roof, when he starts taking people out. And I like how the Empire pretended by shooting one of their own guys that the Ghorman Front were the ones that started it.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, what other movie has done that? Like, or what other false flag operation has done that in the history of the world? I was thinking, like, I thought back to Lord of the Rings. Did you see? Obviously, you've seen it.
Mm.
When they go to Helm's Deep and the orc army shows up and they're just yelling at each other, and the old guys, just holding the bow and arrow, and they're all just
Hold,
standoff,
hold.
right? And then it slips. So
Right.
the good guys are the ones who start the battle, and
Hmm.
that's the same type of thing. They wanted to appear that the Gormans attacked the Empire, and then they had to do what they did. That's what they
Mm.
wanted it to look like.
Well, there is a historical rumor that that's essentially what happened at the start of the Revolutionary War. So, the whole story of the shot heard around the world. So, supposedly, the musket that was shot was actually from an American accidentally shooting another American, but it was blamed on the British as a pretense to help start the war.
They were just waiting for somebody to kick the rock, I guess.
Hmm.
Kick the
Hmm.
rock down the road, and let's get this thing going.
Right. So, yeah, it does make sense that this is exactly the kind of move that the Empire would pull. We're going to get our way. We're going to drill into Gorman, and if we have to do a genocide to get it done, then we're going to do that. And so, in all of this confusion and everything that's going on in this mess, Cassian he's still trying to complete his mission, but it's becoming harder and harder to do. Like every single time he thinks he has her in his sight, there's an explosion or another shot or people dying or bumping into him. And then when he thinks he finally has it, here comes Syril out of nowhere. Not even defending his woman, he just spots Andor.
Hey, who the hell are you?
Oh my god, and the minute I heard that line, he goes, "Who are you?" And the first thing that crossed my mind was when Wanda confronts Thanos, and she lands there. She goes, "You ruined my life," and he says, "I don't even know who you
Know who
are.
you are. Yeah, that's Andor. I don't know who you are.
I don't even know who you are." And Cyril is just like, "How do you not know who I am? I've been obsessed." Oh, that's I was I was the one obsessed. Okay,
That was all me. And then
that's
boom.
on me, buddy.
Then that was it. The guy takes him out. And I can't remember where I've seen this actor before. The president. I don't know if he was the president, the leader
The
of.
guy who shot Cyril.
Yeah,
Let me see here. I think I wrote down who the actors were. Let's see here. We have oh shoot, I don't have his name. But his name is Caro or Caro Rylands. Oh, who was
yep,
that?
that was his name on the show. I've seen him in other things where he's like not. He's not the good guy. That was epic. Susan
Richard
said,
Samuel.
"What's he been in?"
Let's see. What else has he been in? He has been in. Let's see here. I knew I recognized him from somewhere. Thank you, Reddit. Uh, Vigo Mortensen.
Yeah, the mayor. Yep.
He
When
was
he
he was the Nazi vampire in The Strain. Really, I haven't seen that movie.
huh, I know I've seen him in other things,
Um.
but it was epic when he took him out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I really didn't think it was going to kill him. Perfect, yes, perfect casting for that guy. Susie says again, yes,
Mm.
they've done a really excellent job with the casting and everything on this show. But
Oh, he was in Inglorious Bastards too. Okay, he was also
that's
Nazi
where
in
I
there.
knew him from. He was the guy who volunteered to get his head beat in.
That's right. Yes.
Yep.
Let's see. He
I
was in
remember.
Inglorious Bastards, Casino Royale, 3 Days to Kill, and The Strain.
I've seen two of those.
All right. All right. Yeah, he's been in a. Wow, he's played a Nazi a lot.
Yeah, I think
Huh.
I think he's French. Susie says maybe he's German. I think he's French.
Oh yeah, I totally get that.
Wait,
I
that's backwards. She says he's French. I think he's German.
so I think we said this in our last Andor season 2 review, that the entirety of Ghorman, their culture, their language, it was very much based off World War II French Revolution. So that's why their language sounds a little French.
I was wondering how fast they could come up with that language. I mean, if it's not a language that already exists, how did all those people learn it and they were singing the songs in that
Oh, I
language?
know. I was thinking the same thing. The fact that they not only, developed this place, came up with a whole language, but then came up with an entire national anthem from them all to sing too. I was impressed. That
Yeah.
clearly takes a lot of time and a lot of work. And you guys, how I feel about character development and world building. I love when they do that because this is not stuff that we had, in any other Star Wars movie or anything like that. There may have been some description in a book somewhere, but we've never seen it on screen. So I love the fact that they took the time and they developed out like this entire planet. It's awesome. It's so cool.
Yeah. I like how these planets are just like they're either cities or countries. I mean, in that way that I mean that if they took this show and they took it out of a Star Wars world and they just
Hmm.
put it in like on Earth with gangsters or something, this show would still work.
Oh
It
yeah,
would still
yeah.
work. That's how good the story is. And then when you add in all of the Star Wars stuff, it just makes it so over the top.
And Lily says, when the singing started, I teared up. I almost did a little. It did feel a bit emotional because they've done such a good job this season at, really bringing to life these people in this world. Like it makes it feel so real.
And it was like they knew that they were going to die when they started
Oh, yeah.
singing that.
Yeah.
And they're not. It's not a stupid population, and it's not they're just the Skywalkers that are involved in stopping it.
Hmm.
Buildings were not CG. Yeah,
No, no, yeah. I think somebody said this was based in a town in Italy, if I'm not mistaken, is where they so like I think there's the wall like around the water. I think that was CG and they might have altered the mountains a bit, but yeah, I think the buildings were all, you know, actually real in the overhead shot. They did
that's
that actually with uh oh my gosh, Coruscant as well. So all the scenes that we see in Coruscant and Andor, those are all physical locations as well. Like I think the apartments that Syril's mom live in, though that was actual, like a real actual place. And that's one of the things that I really also appreciate about Andor is the fact that they're willing to use these real physical locations. It feels bigger. They don't feel as claustrophobic and trapped in, we can only move this way to this way in the volume.
that's funny because that's the only time I've seen Coruscant with water. It's always just been like a planet that was just you only saw the top surface, right? That was just like
Hmm.
that's where all the commerce and business happened. You didn't see landscapes. But in
Right.
this, she was in a building. I don't know if it's the Senate building when she came out and it had that incredibly long uh, deck, and then she walked down the stairs, and then at the bottom of it was like a lake. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
that's kind of
Hmm.
cool. I've never seen that in Coruscant before.
Love the world building. It's great. This is all
Hmm.
stuff that, we wouldn't have seen otherwise. So thank you to Tony Gilroy and everybody that's been working on this because you've really brought this stuff to life and I love it.
I don't know if you've seen this at the end of the closing credits. Tony Gilroy runs the show. He's the showrunner.
Right. Yeah.
Every episode has been directed by the same person so far that I've seen. And the writer on every episode that I've
Hmm.
seen so far, Dan um, Gilroy. So is
Really?
that his brother?
It could be. I'm not sure.
But
I'll have to look that up later. And if you guys know
so
in the chat, yeah. And then Lily says using that big budget very well. Yes, they are. Yes, they
yeah,
are. And oh, I am so happy that they are. Keep giving this crew money. Let them make a movie. Go ahead, please. They've
yeah.
already proven they basically can.
This has been worth it. You don't want something like I don't know, say Snow White, where you
Right.
just pour money into it and it's just garbage.
Hmm.
These guys, they started out without having the money, and now proven how good they are. I mean, I would throw money at them for anything. They're incredible storytellers.
Oh yes, yes. So the this episode ends up ending. We go back to Coruscant and we see Syril's mom, and she's sitting there, she's watching the news, and a tear runs down her face. Now, my question was, and I was hoping to see if you knew or anybody on the chat knows, did she find out that Syril was dead in that moment, or was she crying about the massacre happening on Ghorman?
I think she knew that he was on Gorman when that happened,
Okay.
and so she knew where he was, and she knew nobody was making it out of there, so she knew he was gone.
Hmm.
That's what I
Okay.
think.
That does make sense. And then also we end up seeing, like, kind of juxtaposed against that, again, going back to Dedra, how is she feeling about this whole situation? She tried to stop Syril from going back outside. She even told the other ISB officers, stop him, get him back in here. Because even she knows what's going on out there and knows that if
Yeah,
he's out there in the open, he's done for. And so, after everything starts to settle down a little bit, she runs off into another room. She's like trying to rip her collar off. She's, freaking out, anxiety off the charts. And I'm not I'm not sure yet if that was again over Cyril or over the larger situation, because I'm having trouble pinpointing where her mind is at this point. Is she actually, like, feeling guilty? Is she feeling bad for everything that's happened? Like, does she regret taking things this far and actually, letting this theory, this idea that she had mentioned to Krennic actually play out in real life where real lives are involved?
yeah, she's having feelings that she hadn't had before because she was kind of psychotic or kind of a sociopath before. Didn't care about the consequences, just thought about the strategy.
Mhm.
Now that she
Mhm.
sees the consequences playing out in front of her, whoa, she wasn't ready for it.
Right, yeah. I think that's what it was too. And also, I lo I love that Wilmon, oh, you poor dumb kid, once again goes to another planet, has to get himself another girlfriend, and once again he's off wandering away. And Andrew's
Walking with the
like, we've
ladies.
got to go, we've got to get off this planet. And Will's like, no, I gotta go save my girlfriend. She's on the radio. And
Like, all right, hey, you do you, man. I'm out.
Mhm. And you know what? Then we get to see Andor. He's running, but he's running away from one of those droids, and he's already encountered one. We've seen this before in season one. He knows that these specific droids, they are tough, and the one was pushing him up against the wall, and was the reason why he ended up getting arrested and sent to Narkina 5 and everything like that. So he's trying to shoot his blaster at the robot. Apparently, I don't know if it's made out of Beskar or what the deal is, but this
uh,
thing is it seems like impervious to blaster bolts. And if
and
it wasn't for whoever that was that ended up crashing the truck into it and like busting it in half, Andor might have been caught again. But
that was the
I,
dude who messed up in the previous.
that was him. That was the one who shot. What's her name?
Yeah, that was him. That what's
Okay,
Circa? What's her name? Circa?
Cinta. Cinta.
Cinta.
Yep.
Yeah, he's the one who killed Cinta.
Okay.
So he had to get redemption there. This is a year later. So he's had a year to work through it.
Now, my one complaint about this, my one complaint is I get that they've got to work in, like, it was up to this team to figure out, okay, how does Cassian meet his robot that we see in Rogue One? How did he get it? Why they chose why they chose the Ghorman Massacre when he is trying to get off world as quick as possible, that he's going to be like, actually, hold up. I want to take this droid back with me.
Bring this droid. Let's do this.
Just pack them, load them up. Oh, it's kind of heavy, Cass. Yeah, that's okay. Come on. This is going to be this is very important for like. Don't ask me to explain. It's a whole movie, whatever.
I'm gonna need this later. Just don't worry about
But yeah, So Lily also says, hard to say. Remember, she tried to reject the position. The actress says she's a psychopath. Yeah. Oh, no, I totally believe that. In fact, there was an interview where I was talking about this in our last stream. There's an interview where Dedra said, look, we know that, the actress who plays Dedra said, we know that Dedra is a psychopath. We know that Syril's a bit of a little creep. And so we tried to make their entire romance, their whole situation, we tried to make it as gross and creepy as possible. It's like, yeah,
And it was.
that makes sense for this group.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hang on, I gotta step away for a moment. I don't know if we can do this. It could only be like 30 seconds.
oh,
Can
yeah,
you do
sure.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thanks for letting me know. So, anyway, yeah, and Lily says he got lucky. Yeah, so that was probably my only complaint about this episode is it seemed like a really bad time for him to worry about picking up this robot, this droid that he's going to eventually need later on. And I get they had to find a way to work it in. Personally, my personal opinion, I would have rather them just done that off screen, or I don't know, added in the novel that's accompanying it, put it in a comic book, anything like that. I think some of that would have maybe made more sense or worked a little bit better. I don't need to know exactly how he got K2. It's just as long as he gets them. I think I would have actually, if we would have been given the extra time, honestly, I would have wanted to know what actually happened between Syril and the Ghorman front, or what was going on to get more people on Yavin or something. Use that time for something else. And I'm probably the only one who thinks that, because I know that there were rumors all over the internet of people saying, how is it going to get K2? And then the other big rumor that I saw, which I don't think is accurate or true, the big rumor that everybody kept repeating was that when they bring K2 online, or K2SO, yeah, when they bring him online, he's going to be given B2's data info or whatever. They're going to upload the info from the little droid into the Imperial droid. And I read that at first a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, I don't see that happening. First off, they would have to go back to that planet where they left him on, get him, and it sounds nice in theory. Upload your pet dog into this killer robot, but I didn't see that happening. And as we end up seeing, towards the end, that is not what ends up happening. Guess that's what happens when you compress 5 seasons into 2. Yeah, I guess so. What do you guys think out there in the chat? And Dave, what do you think? Should they have made this more than 2 seasons? Do you think it would have gotten stale if they would have extended it out into like 4 or 5 seasons? Or do you think it works the way that it is, where we're getting, 1 year every couple of episodes?
I think what they're doing is perfect. I don't think they needed to over explain anything else. They could probably come up with different adventures that he went on to, stifle the Empire at certain points. But I think they're doing it right. When we get to the end of it, it's all gonna feel like it wasn't too much and wasn't not enough.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I was unsure how I felt about it when they first announced how they were going to do this. And I'm thinking, oh, you're going to rush it? A show as good as this? But I'm actually kind of fine with it now, because there probably is a lot of just hurry up and wait going on while they're putting the rebellion together. So, yeah, I'm not too upset by it. And so far, I've loved all of the episodes that we've seen so far.
Yeah, like they said, they had a complete story,
yeah,
and they're telling that complete story. If they,
and
if they had to make up extra stuff when that didn't fit into their story, it would take from the quality.
yes. And Lily, you hit the nail on the head. It's so good, and we've been hungry for this. Yes. I have rewatched the first season of Andor so many times. It's such a good series. And yeah, I've been waiting for this probably more than anything else. When it was announced that Skeleton Crew was coming out before this, I'm like, whatever, I don't even care. Just give me more Andor.
Yeah.
And Skeleton Crew was fine. Didn't have the greatest ending, in my opinion. It was fine. It was a decent show, but it wasn't Andor.
Yeah, also, it wasn't the Acolyte either. It was in between.
We don't talk about the Acolyte.
But most shows that come up, if it's not Dave Filoni or maybe even Sam Witwer
Mm-hmm.
or Jon Favreau, if the first name you hear on it is Kathleen Kennedy, I have a lot less faith in it. And that's why I didn't have any faith with Tony Gilroy when this first came out, because I didn't know his work. And I'm like, and I saw the preview and I was like, I don't know, man. And it's just
Oh
been
no,
incredible.
I'm totally in agreement with you.
Yeah, Lily says she gave up on Star Wars before this. Yeah, I can see it, but this is a huge comeback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was very easy to do because it's kind of like the MCU. We were talking about that before, where there's just been a lot of misses. You've got your little good things sprinkled here and there, but it's been just a lot of misses one after the other. Like, for instance, I wasn't even super thrilled with season 3 of The Mandalorian, a show that if you look at the ratings of go ahead and put us back in tangent time for a moment here. But yeah, if you
That's
go and you look at all of the ratings of the popularity ratings of each of these Star Wars shows, Mandalorian is at the top by and far. I mean, it blows all of the other Star Wars shows out of the water. In fact, there was a chart where it showed a comparison of all the shows and the movies in their popularity on Disney Plus, and The Mandalorian was at the very top, like outdoing everything. In fact, it outdid all the movies.
Mhm.
And then, a couple of, one step down for there was Andor. And it had like a ton less. It was popular, but it was far less popular than The Mandalorian. And even with The Mandalorian, season 1 and 2, really good. Season 2.5, aka The Book of Boba Fett, pretty good for 2 episodes.
Mhm.
And then, season 3, it kind of went downhill. The Book of Boba Fett wasn't the greatest. Not the worst thing, but the pacing was really bad. And then, we had let's see, after that we had Ahsoka, which was fine. There was a couple of slow whatever episodes, but it was okay. It wasn't the greatest.
I liked it. It just it was like I expected more, just
Same,
because
same.
of Ahsoka was an amazing character through the Clone Wars and Rebels, and I
And when they
couldn't
told
wait.
us they're bringing Hera back and all the crew from Rebels,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It fell short. It was a good show. It wasn't a great show.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, then we had the Acolyte, which that was technically a show.
Yeah, they did put it on TV. I mean, you could watch it.
There were I can probably count on my hand. There were okay. In its defense, there were some good scenes. There was a couple of decent scenes here and there. I'd say when we saw what's his name, uh, Smilo Ren, go ham on all the Jedi, and lightsaber the one chick in the chest 3 times. That was kind of badass.
That was the best scenes in the show, and they just fell off a cliff immediately after it, because they went. Remember, they went in the next episode. They did the whole show was a flashback, and
Right.
it's like, whoa, you just took all your momentum away.
It
What
was
did you
so
do that
dumb.
for?
For like any other show, they would have intermixed the flashback, like episode 1 of Andor season 1. It would have mixed together the flashback and in relation to the episode as a way to show this is where we were, this is how we got here. But instead, an entire episode, it was like, to me, that felt like they didn't know how to tell the story they were trying to tell. And
Yeah.
then it ended with a couple of cool scenes. Like, they had a cool hallway fight scene, but I mean, I'm easy to please when it comes to that. Anytime you give me a hallway fight scene in a Star Wars, I get excited over that. So I thought that was kind of cool. But then the way it ended was also kind of weird, right? Like, they're just like, okay, we don't really know how to end this, so we're gonna swap the girls, and now the good girl is the bad guy, and the bad guy is now the good one, and we're gonna erase her memory, and I don't know. Oh,
And
and
then if
Yoda
you
is there.
want, yeah, if you want, we'll have another season where these two idiots go all over the galaxy doing stupid stuff,
Right.
and then we'll throw in some Darth Plagueis just to
For
entice you. But
3 seconds just to say he was in there, peeking
yeah,
around a corner.
that was.
So dumb.
And the worst reveal was the Yoda reveal. Um,
Right. Yeah. The whole back of him. Thanks.
yeah, I mean, what? Yeah, of course he was alive back then, and you want to draw your main, characters into the show, but that was so freaking cheesy. That was the stupidest thing they could have done.
Mhm. It felt very forced, like they didn't know how else to do the show. So, that was another reason why a lot of people are like, do I really want to watch another Star War?
Yeah,
And then like I said, then we got Skeleton Crew and it was fine. Better than the Acolyte, but still just fine. And in the meantime, we're waiting for Andor. We want Andor to come back because that was the first like real grounded, gritty Star Wars show that it made the Empire feel like an actual bad guy, like a real force to be reckoned with. Like you you want the rebellion to win because the Empire is so evil, and that's what Andor shows us.
yeah, and these other shows, and it just seems like they're a big corporation. Like they're doing their stuff, and then the rebels are just in there messing it up.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, because plot armor,
yep.
because that's what the whole universe was. There was rebels, and then there was the empire, and that's all. That's all you had to work with. This shows why you hate
Mhm.
the empire, and that's the first show that really spent a lot of time on it.
Yep, yep. And I also like how so going back to, Andor proper, I like how in these episodes, we're now seeing, Luthen, he's kind of getting pushed aside, right? We're not seeing him really, as a major leader of the rebellion. It almost seems like he's spending most of his time just cleaning up the mess and trying to figure out how he fits into this new thing because the alliance is, getting bigger and bigger and it's turning into like a mixed military faction and almost a replacement government because that's their whole goal at the end of the day, or at least that's Mon Mothma's goal and probably Organa's
Yeah.
goal. It's what they want to do is restore the Republic, and so that's kind of the direction that the Rebel Alliance is going into. It's turning into this. We're a military force in order to get rid of the Empire and replace it and bring back the New Republic. So Luthen is kind of, he's been used to playing it just about as dirty as the Empire. He's mentioned multiple times that he's willing to make them be cruel to get other people to join the rebellion. And now things are starting to, we're getting more physical sides. We're actually seeing that there's a face to the rebellion, and that's what this final episode of this grouping, this trilogy is all about. It's about finally putting a real face to the rebellion, where it's kind of been rumors here and there, and I don't know that everybody in the galaxy was even aware there was a rebellion, because I think the Empire is doing a pretty good job of keeping it pretty under wraps.
Or did they even know, like, if they were rebels?
Oh
Did
yeah,
they know
yeah,
there
that
was?
too.
Did
Like,
they know
I'm
that there
sure.
was any other factions out there?
Yeah, some of the factions seem to be aware of one another. Like, Saw's group, they were aware of other groups that were out there doing things, like, with Luthen talking to Saw on a pretty, regular basis. Like, oh, yeah, did you hear about, what that group is doing? Oh, what about them? And the Ghorman Front also seemed aware that there was a larger rebellion going on. But your average citizen, I don't think they knew.
Yes, yeah, they didn't know
Yeah.
because it was just too big. It's too big of a universe. Lily thinks they're going to be killing off Luthen soon, and I agree. I mean, I don't know how he's going to die, but he wasn't in Rogue One,
Mm,
so
yeah.
we're going to see a few. I don't know if they're all going to die or just going to like go into the background, but a lot of these characters aren't going to make it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think they're going. Oh, and then So Lily also says controlling the news and media. Yeah. So we saw that with Ghorman especially, right? So we've got the Empire pretty much controlling what people can see and what they know about things. So yeah, of course they're not really going to know about a rebellion going on. By the time we get to A New Hope, some people, in the Outer Rim seem to finally be aware that a rebellion is going on. Luke seems to be kind of aware, but, when we meet him, he's, at least based on the deleted scenes that ended up getting cut, it seemed like he was kind of, yeah, I'll join the Empire or the Rebellion. I don't really care. Whatever is going to get me off Tatooine.
Yeah.
That's our hero. but but yeah, this episode of Andor is now, this is where we finally put a face to the Rebel Alliance. We're now going to form it as the Alliance. We're hoping to bring all of these individual splinter cells together into one thing. And Lily says Fox Ghorman News. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There was actually, I don't know if you've ever watched this channel on YouTube, but there's a channel called Some More News. And a couple of years ago, they did a whole like parody of like what the news must be like in the Star Wars galaxy. And then their equivalent was Crystal Fox News, like the Crystal Fox is from the sequel trilogy.
Crystal Fox.
Right. I got a good chuckle out of that. But yeah, so, do you remember the episode from Rebels, Dave, where the Ghost Crew has to go and pick up Mon Mothma?
I do. I don't remember the details, but I do.
So I ended up going back and watching it after these episodes because I remember watching it a couple of years ago and I thought it was pretty good. It was, again, a very similar story, right? Where we've got Mon Mothma giving her speech and now the Empire's after her. They're considering her a traitor, and that's supposed to be where the Alliance itself is actually formed. So they tell a story a little bit different in this episode. It's roughly kind of the same, but I think one of the best changes that they actually made, and it's probably mostly my opinion, but I like the fact that they, with Erskine, he's played by an actor named Piero Nail-Me. So I like that they kind of aged him up a bit because the way that he was portrayed in Rebels, he was like a kid essentially that was like sent to help out Mon Mothma. He's her senator liaison, and I'm like, I don't think they would send like a 13-year-old to help a senator out. So I am glad that they made him like an actual adult in this series. But
he was kind of emotional though, wasn't he?
Oh, he was a bit emotional, yeah. But he also mentions in this episode that she essentially raised him. That she kind of took him in and was so almost like a mother figure to him. And so, it is the ultimate betrayal to Mon when she finds out that he's been working for Luthen this whole time. Well, not the whole time, but for the past 2 years, he's been working for Luthen. And the fact that he was brought in by Luthen as part of the rebellion at the wedding on Chandrilla in the first episode of this season. And I like it. You're kind of bringing it all together.
She does kind of forgive him at the end there. So we're back to the point I was making earlier. Like who was bad in that that one woman? I don't know her name. The bad in the Bail Organa show. But Cassian knew how to handle that already, knowing that they even infiltrated Bail Organa's crew, with the Empire. So they got to know everything that's going on.
Oh yeah. The way they made it sound, I thought all of these guys were corrupt. I didn't realize that 2 of them were good, and then that one woman was the only bad one out of the bunch. I'm thinking, oh, you can't trust any of them, and I think Luthen was of that mindset as well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, it's been infected, so she's in trouble, and so that's why she got to go with Cassian.
So the way the story played out, because I want to kind of juxtapose it together. So the way the story played out in Rebels was Hera and Ezra, they had just gotten out of some battle with the Empire, and they were hiding on some wreckage of a piece of a ship. And they just received notification, hey, you've got to take some cargo to Dantooine. Cargo to
Dantooine.
Dantooine, and they aren't told what it is. So they end up linking up the ship to refuel, and we see what's his name, Mon Mothma's liaison coming over, saying, "Sorry, you can't go into the ship. You can't see what the cargo is. Just know that it's very important. It is the most important thing for the rebellion." And then all of a sudden, the Empire comes in, they start shooting at him, and that's when they have to take off. And now the Ghost crew themselves are responsible for getting Mon Mothma to basically form the alliance. Now, the way that they had played it out, the speech that she gave in Rebels was fine, but it essentially, like, from the get-go, she says, the Empire's bad, and the Emperor is a super bad dude, and we don't like him, and blah 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 blah. There's a rebellion. So I really like that they actually switched up how the speech was given in this episode, and I like even the lead up to it. The fact that she spends all night trying to work it out, how she's going to put it, and she doesn't in the beginning immediately say the Emperor is evil, and the Emperor is evil, and the Empire is responsible for all this, because we know she would have been shut down immediately. She wouldn't have been able to get after a full speech. So the fact that she buries the lead a bit, and she gets people's emotions worked up by saying, we lost a lot of good people, but Ghorman, they also lost a lot of people, and this was a horrible event. And then at the very end, and the person responsible for it all is the Emperor. Perfect. I
was surprised that she could walk out of there and not be attacked. She got to the hallway.
I probably thought that it was a 50-50 chance that somebody might, shoot her or something.
Right. But she got out to the hallway, and I'm like, she's still alive. No one's coming after her right now. She was able to walk up to, that's where Cassian found her in the hallway, and they were walking. I was like, all right, they are going to come get her right there. They're just going to make sure she doesn't leave, where nobody can see what happens.
You can tell that's what they probably wanted to do. And also, I love the fact that their original thing is what they're going to do. Like, oh, okay, well, we know how to fix this. We'll just turn off the feed. Like, nobody's going to notice that
right. That is Fox News right there.
Is suddenly cut, and they can't get in. And I love, where's the key? Well, we brought it up there. It's in this. Well, go get it. Okay, I guess they're taking their sweet time.
Just relax, man. We're gonna go get it.
Like, why are you in such a hurry to cut that? Like, whatever. It's just a senator's speech. Who cares?
Right. They didn't realize the impact. Absolutely not.
Absolutely. For those of you out there that are new to Not Your Status Quo, anytime you say the magic word, absolutely,
we have to drink.
That's right.
But I had thought that Mon had seen her side of the the battle and the conflict, but she was obviously thrown off when Cassian had to kill people to get her out of there.
Yeah, like, people die in a rebellion?
Yeah. You just killed that guy. Yep, right. I had to. Let's get out of here.
Yep, you want to see me do it again?
I'll do it again if you stand here long enough.
Right. Oh, man.
But yeah.
And oh my gosh, I also love the fact that the Senate building it looks like an airport after 9/11.
Yeah.
They've got all these metal detectors, security, and everything. Like, only the right people can get in. Somehow Andor is able to, with his fake ID, he's able to sneak in, which, so I guess it wasn't perfect, but it is funny that they're
working out the bugs.
Like, oh, I don't really have a spot for you. Are you fine roaming? As a matter of fact, I am. That is exactly what I want to do.
That's right.
Gives me free movement. So yeah, he is able to get her out of there, and obviously we know that eventually, in Rebels, she'll be picked up by the Ghost crew. But they even mention in this episode that the Alliance has a greater plan for her. They want to have her give the speech again, but they're going to kind of rework it again. They're going to retool it and sort of what was the wording they used? Essentially, they were saying that they're going to, I guess, change the narrative a bit, make it look like an even more they're going to manufacture it a little bit, make it look like an even more powerful moment for Mon Mothma. Not that she was running away in fear while a dude is blasting people in the way, but instead she's this brave soul standing up to lead the Alliance to restore the Republic. Probably make it more palatable for the everyday citizen. So A, they're aware that a rebellion is happening, and B, they know that somebody is trying to stop the evils of the Empire, because clearly she and there's enough people outside of Ghorman that are probably horrified by what's going on. Not everybody in the galaxy is pro-Emperor.
Yeah, just like it is in the real world.
Yeah,
it's always going to be people on both sides.
Poetry, it rhymes.
It rhymes, yeah.
But yes, these were some phenomenal episodes, and I think that pretty. Oh no, I'm sorry. There was one more thing that I forgot to mention. So, Andor is done with his part of it. Mon Mothma, she goes off. She's going to get picked up by the ghost, do her thing. Eventually, she'll make her way from Dantooine to Yavin, because we got to keep the secret base hidden in case somebody is able to track somebody through hyperspace. But that's a silly idea, and nobody would ever actually do that.
Crazy. And it also gives the princess somewhere to tell Darth Vader that they are. Dantooine.
And Lily asks, question, why do you think Mon's driver kept looking at the gun in the front seat? That is a good question. I think he had it in his mind that he was a bigger deal than he actually was. He seemed to have it in his head that he's, such an important piece to the ISB that they're going to call on him to take care of things. And if necessary, he'll go after Mon Mothma on his own. He's probably got these, feelings of grandeur. He's a super spy. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. I'll shoot her myself.
I love how Cassian figured it out. He says, "What's his name? What's his name?"
Yeah,
and then he just shoots him.
Calls him.
Like, she's just horrified.
Right.
She's just horrified, but he does what he has to
do. That's it's like what Luthen said in the first season. Sorry that this is what's actually happening. This is a sunrise I'll never see. We have to do these dirty things. And then he even says it again. He essentially says the same thing to Mon Mothma in the first couple of episodes. I want to say it was like the third episode. He said to her when she's like, "We'll find the number. We'll take care of Tay." And he looks at her and he says, "It must be nice, right? Like that you don't have to actually worry about these things. You don't have to cover your tracks." Things like that. And so, yeah, I guess maybe she's still lying to herself, because she was also, if you remember, she was super upset about Aldhani and about the heist. So, yeah, while she might be, the leader of the rebellion, up until this point, I think she must have been lying to herself about what it actually took.
Yeah, it wasn't
more than fancy speeches.
Yeah, it was more political side to her. She hadn't seen the ugliness.
Yeah.
Lily says, "I wonder if he had orders." I think he did have orders, because he had that one scene in there where her driver was asking about her itinerary, and she's like, "Oh, no, we'll figure that out." She turns around and says, "He's fired. I'm going to get a new driver."
Yep. How nice for you. He knows his days are numbered. Yeah. How nice for you, indeed.
Yeah, she's not a soldier. Definitely not. She's
no.
Hasn't had to deal with that. But yeah, her expression was epic. Yeah, it was epic. She had
like horrified, like you said, Dave. Yeah.
What? I've never seen anything like that before. And Andor's just like,
people in the rebellion.
We just got to keep moving, baby.
Right. Yeah. So now Cassian, he's 2 days away from retirement. I can finally give all this up.
Yeah, and he ends up on a planet that gets blown up. Jeez, that's
Right.
terrible.
Oh no. But no, he does end up going back to Yavin. Mon's in good hands. She'll make it there eventually. We'll probably see it next week, Tuesday, that she's finally taking more of a leadership role and accepting what needs to be done. But yeah, so Andor comes back to Yavin. He lands, and they he tells Bix, once again, he's reiterating, yeah, this is it. We're good. I'm good. Wilmon is coming back. He's safe. He brought his girlfriend with him. Somehow they made it off of Ghorman. But yeah, Cassian, he tells him, oh, hey, by the way, that droid in the back, go ahead, go ahead and unload the droid. And then he tells Bix, yeah, I think I'm good. Let them do their thing. They can do the rebellion. I've done enough. I'm ready to retire. And Bix knows that there's more that he needs to do.
He's like,
He may think that he's done with it,
yeah,
but the rebellion isn't done with him.
he's like Tony Stark.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
wanted to stop, but you just can't. You just
Mhm.
know in that person. And her leaving like that, I hope that's not how they end her story. Because that could mean that she's still out there and that she shows up later, like in something that hasn't been created yet. But I don't know if she was a big enough character for something like that. She was the one
Probably
who
not.
she was just there to guide him through to what he needed to do, and now she's doing it again by leaving because he's going to have no reason not to participate in the rebellion.
All right, so here's my what's next for what I expect in the last couple of episodes. I think we are going to get like a wrap up of each of the characters. I imagine it's going to be like an 80s or 90s movie. You know how like at the end of the movie they tell you where each of the characters went. Um,
Right.
kind of like that one episode of Rick and Morty. Sorry, I don't have the music, so I can't play it. I know I'm a failure, but but yeah, where everybody kind of like the character fades away, and the announcer, the narrator says, and little Bobby wound up as the lead pitcher of blah 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 blah. So here's I envision Mon Mothma took on a leadership role with the Alliance. Andor helped get the plans to the Death Star to the Rebel Alliance before fatefully giving up his life for the rebellion. Bix did more drugs and died.
She did 10 drops at one time. That was not the right thing. But she got her sleep though.
Sleep. So I mean, that's probably not what's actually going to happen, but it would be kind of funny if they did like a little character wrap up to tell us where everybody ended up.
Yeah, they all just have them stop action, right? They're right in the middle of doing something.
Right.
Like you're playing cards and he looks up. And it's just Cassie and Andor ended up dying on this silly planet.
Right.
Yeah.
Wilmon broke up with his girlfriend and decided that he needed to get a new girlfriend in every single planet that he went to.
And they show him, he goes,
50% of the galaxy is now related to Will.
that's a way to quell a rebellion. You're related to all.
Right.
Oh, you're
Oh,
okay.
man.
All
But
right. Well, you
this
think it's time
episode
to
ends
rate
up
it?
ending with what everybody has begging for. They finally reactivate K2. And we get to hear that wonderful voice, what we've all been waiting to hear, Alan Tudyk as K2SO. And I love how they're terrified of what this droid can do. They all know how strong it is. So they've got it extra strapped down. They're all holding, rifles up against it just in case. And they start him up and he goes, "Hello. Oh, I hope I haven't upset any of you.
Yeah.
I sure hope we can be friends."
Like, okay, we hit the factory reset.
Right.
What time is it?
So, and yeah, that's the end of those episodes. Very good stuff. Dave, should we rate these episodes?
We definitely should.
Dave, would you like to go first or should I?
I tell you, I'll go first.
Okay.
And there's no way we're not going to have to sandwich this at all because there's no bad.
Oh
Uh,
no.
The score, the acting, the plot, um, the special effects. I even heard like when oh, at one point they had the sound effect of a ship dying, and I'm like, that's the same sound effect that has the Millennium Falcon when it could not do jump to hyperspace.
Mm-hmm.
So they're using classic sounds, and I'm sure they're seeing if anybody can remember that stuff. And the geeks like us are going to, the nerds like us, sorry. And it's just everything falls into place with this show. They spend the right amount of time on everything. They pace it correctly. They make sure you know what's going on in every minute, even with their excellent dialogue that they have in this show. It's like almost Shakespearean to me. It's just the way they say things without saying it, but you know what they're saying. It's incredible dialogue,
Oh yeah.
incredible show. Everything has been great. I still can't give it a 10. I might give the whole season a 10 depending on like the end of this. So, but I'm going to give this a 9.8 so far.
Okay. All
9.8
right.
for these 3 episodes.
I'm pretty much with you there. These episodes were pretty much perfect. I loved them so much. I think I liked them even more. I was at the edge of my seat with the previous episodes, and this one, same thing. I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, I know that, for now anyway, that Andor and Mon Mothma turn out okay, that, Mon Mothma is going to go on and lead the rebellion, that Andor is going to go on and do a Rogue One, but, and take part in yet another Star War. But it's still, it has you like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? How is it going to play out? Because up until now, we haven't seen all these events, and we haven't seen how gruesome the Ghorman Massacre ended up being, right? So in the Legends books, we had heard that the Ghorman Massacre was Tarkin landing his ship on a bunch of people, and that sounded bad enough. But now we find out that happened several years ago, and now the Empire isn't done with Gore, and they're going to go ahead and do yet another massacre after building a building that puts a shadow over their remembrance, their thing to remind everybody of the previous massacre. Like, the Empire just will not leave these people alone. And Dave, you said earlier that you didn't expect Syril to end up kicking it like that, and I'm with you. I didn't see that coming either. I was kind of surprised. I figured we would have him and Dedra, you know, at least up until the end with us. But oh yeah, no. We're starting to see the cracks appear. We're seeing that maybe Syril wasn't fully with the Empire all along. Maybe he started to feel a little bad. It almost seemed like he was ready to go and tell some of the leaders of the Gorman Front, hey, this is what's happening, but too little, too late, right? And then even Dedra, we're seeing her at the end, like she's showing some kind of regret, whether it's for the fact that Syril was probably dead. Again, we don't fully know if his mother was crying over that fact either, but maybe she was also feeling a bit guilty about her involvement in this happening. The fact that she gave them the idea to do this, but then didn't really want to be a part of it, that tells me that, she had a lot of reservations about what was actually going on. She didn't actually want to really take part in all of this. She didn't want to actually be there on the planet watching these people get killed just so the Empire could mine some material for their super weapon, which she may not even know about the Death Star. Yeah, I think they told her that they needed to use it for like some energy source or whatever.
The Happy Moon.
Happy Moon. Yeah, I don't even think she's aware of the Happy Moon. so so yeah, the way that everything played out was just perfection. And I think, my opinion, I think this last episode overshadows the episode of Rebels, which was already pretty decent, but this just kind of blows it out of the water because Mon Mothma's speech, I think, was way better. The intrigue was way better. The fact that everybody could potentially be an enemy. I mean, just everything that played out was perfect. The pacing was perfect. The story was great. And then Lily says it was like Hitler's eagle's nest meeting. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it was like just all this stuff going down, and you've got people who are like regretting doing this. And we're all, at the end of the day, we're trying to get Mon Mothma out of the planet so she can go and be the leader of the rebellion that it needs, because now it's starting to become more of a legitimate body. And I like how even Bix realizes this is bigger than all of us. And the rebellion, if it's going to survive, it needs somebody like Cassian. And if I have to leave in order to keep him there, then she's got to do. She's all in. She believes in the rebellion. And yeah, these episodes I'd say were perfect. But again, I'm like you, Dave. I don't want to give it a 10 yet. I'll probably end up. Who am I kidding? I'm probably going to end up rating the entire season a 10 out of 10. But I'm going to give these episodes a 9.5 out of 10. Nearly perfect. These were so good. Edge of my seat. Is it Tuesday yet? I need more.
And that'll be it. This coming Tuesday will be all of them.
Oh, I know. And then no more seasons.
Yeah, it's over.
I mean, it makes me wonder, like, are we ever going to see more, dark, gritty Star Wars like this? And I don't mean dark and gritty a la, Zack Snyder. That's not what I mean. I mean more realism, this perfect combo of world building and character development, because that's exactly what these were. What all of these episodes have been. They combine that ability of creating these entire planets and languages and people and beliefs, like out of nowhere,
Yeah. And I saw that Lily also rated this. She gave it a 10 out of 10. Perfect writing, acting, scenes, and twists. And it just says we're tough.
You dork.
Well, in the end, we're probably going to both end up giving it a 10 anyway. So,
to be fair, we watch a lot of TV shows and movies, and we can be far tougher. Trust me. So in case you're wondering, for those of you that are new out there that don't watch us regularly, we rate everything on our, well, they call it the Doug scale. I want to call it the nerd scale, but essentially it's a scale of 10. 1 being awful, do not watch, kill it with fire. 5 is average, and 10 is as good as it gets. There have been a couple of things that are so bad they don't even make it onto the scale.
Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon.
Oh my God, yeah, Rebel Moon. I think I gave that a 0, and so did Keith.
Yeah.
Did you give it a negative, Doug? You might have.
I gave it a.
Yeah, that didn't even fit the scale. It was so bad. I can't believe they made a second one.
I know. Oh, they didn't just make a second one. If you remember, they also introduced the director's cuts of both of whatever. It was stupid.
And Zack Snyder had the control to do these shows. The director's cut should have been the only thing we saw.
Yeah. But, they did it because Snyder Cut, is trending. So, of course, Netflix, like every other studio, just doesn't get it. I'm convinced that Disney accidented their way into this. Like, I don't think they know what they have with Andor.
I just hope I see a lot more Tony Gilroy shows.
Oh, same. We need
Star Wars.
We need much more.
Yeah, whether it's Star Wars or anything else. I did read he's going to do some more Star Wars projects. I hope that's true.
Oh, good. I hope that is true as well. You know me, I don't pay much attention to the rumors out there until like I hear it from an actual legit source. So unfortunately, I'm not on the Twitter sphere. I don't see what everybody is saying about everything else, but I really do hope that you're right, Dave. I hope that's true, that Tony Gilroy is going to be a showrunner of something else. Hell, if they give him the next couple of movies, I'd be so satisfied with that, because I bet he'd really bring it to life.
He could do the next trilogy rather than Simon Kinberg, who told that Phoenix story 3 times and 3 times got it wrong. The Phoenix saga from the X-Men.
Oh, right.
They've given him 3 shots at it, and 3 times he blew it. So Why give him a trilogy? I don't know.
I thought
Maybe
that
he
was
needs
Bryan
3
Singer.
movies to. Huh?
I thought that was Bryan Singer.
Well, Kinberg wrote the screenplay
Oh, he
for
did.
X-Men 3. Yes,
And the
and the one that just came out.
no, really?
Yes, yes, he did them both.
Oh, that's
It's like,
wow.
first of all, I mean, tangent time a little here, but you can't put the Phoenix Saga into one movie. You can't. It's just there's too much to it, you know. And both times he tried to do it and squeezed it, and that was the problem. I mean, maybe
Mhm.
since he's got a trilogy that's going to be the next Star Wars trilogy, maybe that'll help him out. He can tell his story. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in him. But if they brought Tony Gilroy in to do it, I would have complete faith in that.
same.
So basically, he put out 4 movies on Andor this year. I mean, next week will be the 4th movie.
Wow.
He put
Yeah,
out
yeah. Basically,
Andor
yes,
part,
you're right.
yeah, with all the material. It's like 2 hours worth of material every week,
Hmm.
and it's all quality stuff. He puts that out. You know, they release it all within a month. Can you imagine if they had taken these stories, released them one per year in a theater?
No, I don't even. No,
It
I don't even
would
want to
hurt to
think of
wait.
that. That'd be awful.
Yeah, it would hurt
Because,
to wait that long.
okay, because first off, while these episodes are good and they are about movie length, they don't. I think we're gonna realize once these last 3 episodes come out. I don't think these are. I don't think they would work.
As a
Each
movie.
little trilogy. I don't think they would work as a movie.
Yeah,
They're
probably
fine.
not.
They're one piece of a story. Just like each episode, I don't think works well by itself. It's like you need the combination of all 3 episodes to actually make it work. And I think you need the combination of all the episodes of the season to tell us one complete story. So yeah, I am so thankful that they, broke it up the way they did, and also that they didn't put this in theaters. But Dave, don't give them any ideas because Disney will. They'll be like, oh, haha, we're gonna do that. Look, there's going to theaters. It's like, I don't know if you remember, but several years ago they put an episode of I think it was like 2 episodes of Game of Thrones in theaters. It was the where the wildlings were trying to cross the wall, and Jon Snow and the what
He
do you
was
call
with
it? Huh?
when Jon Snow was with the wildlings.
No, I think he had run off ahead of them, and him and the Night's Watch had to defend the wall against them.
Okay, so that was in the theaters.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm rewatching it right now too. I'm on my second time through Game of
Oh, really?
Thrones. Yeah, and I just watched the one I watched Avatar. The one I watched yesterday was Joffrey's death. Oh,
Ah.
spoiler alert! One of my favorite episodes at the time. I was like, oh god, I hate that guy, and then he died. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Finally. And then
Yeah.
he's laying there all pathetic with like blood coming out of his nose. It's like, yeah. Now somebody kick him.
Yes, that was well deserved.
Hmm. Lily, I gotta know, what do you mean by Avatar? Because that's a bit of a loaded. Do you mean the movies like Avatar, Way of the Water, Avatar, Let's Get Obtainium from uh
Unobtainium.
from Unobtainium from Pandora, or are you talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Which is something we have reviewed here
Yeah.
on this show.
Yeah, we reviewed both some of the episodes of the animated series. We never did finish reviewing all of them. I think we just had like some spare time in the middle, but we reviewed some of those. And then we reviewed the Netflix episodes, which could have been better. And Liz says, yes, one was enough. Yeah, I think that applies to everything. all everything under the umbrella of Avatar. Yeah, I'm fine with there not having been, I was bored by the sequels. Yeah,
Well, is that second one coming out this year?
I
Fire and
think
something?
so. Yeah, that's the Fire one, right? Did they even give it a title yet?
Yeah, it's called like Earth, Wind, and Fire. It's called Fire and something.
Fire and Ash.
Fire
Okay.
and Ash.
Avatar 3 Fire and Ash. Yeah, it's
That's
supposedly coming
in
out this year.
September.
I don't know when, but okay. Well,
Well, we'll have
oh,
more than just Wonder Man to look at this year
latest,
then.
right. The film's theatrical release has been subject to 9 delays, with the latest occurring as of August 9th, 2024. It is scheduled for release on December 19th, 2025.
Well, let's see. Thank you. She says she'll look for our reviews. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah, you can actually check us out you can check out our reviews now on YouTube. We never, we weren't a channel when the first movie came out, so we never did a review of the first Avatar movie, but we did review Way of the Water. We saw that in theaters. So if you want to see our at the theater review, you can find that on YouTube. I will share the link to our channel in just a moment. Let's see here. Boop, boop, boop. There we
Are you
go.
booping snoots?
And there.
He's out there booping snoots.
Okay. There. So you should be able to see it in the chat there. I added it to both Twitch and YouTube. So yeah, for those of you out there that are not already following us on YouTube, I recommend it. We do, tons of reviews of TV shows, movies. We even do some, video games, whatever. We're all over the place. We do everything nerdy because Dave here, Dave is my fellow nerd. And Dave, am I also your fellow nerd?
You're a fellow nerd. You're my fellow nerd.
And all of you out there are fellow nerds. That's right. And of course, we also have Keith. He is one of our co-hosts. He is not with us right now, but he'll be back with us come this Monday. And we're going to be talking about Dave's favorite show, The Last of Us.
Yay. Keith
Yay.
being the nerdiest of us three nerds, I think.
Yeah.
He knows very much about all the topics.
He does. I constantly have to go back and actually find, look up things in the, on Wikipedia pages and everything. He'll remember a lot of details directly from the comics. I know a lot of the newer comics, but he'll remember something from the Superman annual number 12. And I'm just like, how, man?
I mean, he knows most of the comics universe. I know Smallville. And I only know Smallville. He knows.
I want to play the music for you, Dave, and I can't. Oh, I didn't upload it. I was so concerned with trying to get because this is a new website that we're using. Normally, Keith controls everything, and he does it through OBS. So I was trying to get everything set up with this new program, and I forgot. So one of the things, again, if you're new to us, one of the things that we do just to make the stream a little more fun, anytime Dave mentions Smallville, which is literally every stream because it's his favorite show in the whole wide world, we'll always play a little clip of the intro music just to kind of, serenade him as he's regaling us with some of the info from an episode that he has completely memorized.
Happens when you see him 12 times. I know that makes me a big nerd, but I'm sorry.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. What's up, fellow nerds?
That's right.
And Dave and I are also huge fans of Rick and Morty, so we quote that all the time. And so anytime that, and, we mentioned that, which, again, is probably every stream. Yes, exactly.
Big ol' Rick.
We end up, we'll play a little clip from that. I was trying to see if I had there he is.
Peace among worlds. I love it. Is that what it says on the plaque?
What's that?
Is that what it says on the plaque?
No, it just says Rick and Morty.
Oh, okay. Peace among worlds, baby.
Yeah, peace among worlds. But yeah. So and again, along with our absolutely.
We have a little quirks.
Oh yeah, we've got a little quirks. We try to make these streams fun. And Lily says, "Oh, Oh, wow.
All 10 seasons. That is awesome.
10
Yes,
seasons
I
as
own
well.
all 10
A
seasons
nerd.
as well.
You're our kind of nerd, man.
How many times have you watched them?
Are you trying to out nerd her?
Well, I mean, nobody can out nerd me on that show. Maybe Sam Witwer, but I don't know how into it he was.
Oh man.
I know he's into Star Wars. I don't know if he's as into Smallville as he was into Star Wars.
Fair. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Dave, do you have anything else?
No, I think we had a great time with this episode. We had audience participation.
Yeah.
It's been a
Love
good
that
night.
too, by the way. Definitely join us next time. By the way, Lily or Susie, whichever you prefer. I don't want to, if I've been calling you the wrong name, I do apologize. But if you are also a fan of The Last of Us, we're going to, obviously give the episode a watch when it comes out on Sunday, and then we will be here on Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, to talk about that. Well, Keith and I will be here to talk about it. Dave will be here to say how much he
Hate
did
on it.
to hate on it. Which, you know what? That's also another quirk of ours, and I appreciate it, because if we were all completely in agreement of everything, Liz, I'm a 75-year-old sci-fi fangirl. Perfect. You're
Awesome.
in good company. We're all a bunch of sci-fi and comic book nerds as well. So yeah, definitely come check us out. We'll be here we'll be here Monday night talking about The Last of Us and anything else that pops up as well. And I think now it's about time to do what we do on Twitch. We're going to look for somebody to raid. And let's see, who do we got here? We've got Bubble, we've got A-Tray, we've got...
Tiny Valker?
Who?
Tiny Valker?
Is Tiny Velcro on? I don't see.
Yeah, that's what I listed first. And somebody gifted me a wow, what do they call it? Not a membership. A sub. Somebody gifted me a sub to that channel, to her channel.
Nice.
Today,
Okay,
so
that's what's up.
maybe we should read them.
To Tiny Velker?
Yeah.
All right. Give me okay. I do not have Tiny Velker in my list. Could you put the name in the chat so I can copy and paste?
In the chat? Yeah.
Yeah, or somewhere, Slack, something.
Put it in the chat on Twitch.
All right, that'll work.
There you go.
All right. There it is. Thank you very much, sir. So let me see if I remember how to do this. It's been a while.
It's been a while. No, I will not be singing anymore. Sorry.
All right. But anyway, for those of you that do not know what raiding is, it's something that we do on Twitch. It allows us to take everybody who is viewing us on Twitch and kind of send them over to another channel, another friend of the channel. In this case, we're going to send everybody over to Tiny Velker. And it's something that we can do. It's just a way to say thank you and also kind of continue the fun. So usually it's going to be somebody that's in a similar vein as what we do. Maybe not necessarily could be somebody playing a game, but it'll be somebody else that is a friend of our channel. Now, there is something kind of similar that we can do on YouTube, but it's just clunky. It doesn't work very well. You have to already know who is live, and you kind of have to like preset it up. It's a bit of a mess and a hassle. That's why we don't really do it on YouTube. But, if you're with us on Twitch, obviously we're going to go ahead and send you over to Tiny Velker in a minute. And if you are with us on, let me see here. Channels intended for mature audiences, that's fine. And if you are with us on YouTube, please remember to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right. And with that out of the way, I think that is it for us. So we're going to go ahead and call it an end of a stream here. Thank you very much for joining us today. Make sure that you share this with all your friends. comment down below. And of course, as always, we'll see you right here on Not Your Status Quo.
Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.